Leeds, Leeds, Leeds.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Imagine Not Being Leeds. I'm really excited for this one. We've got Wayne here from Only Fools And Safc. Big Sunderland fan. Pleased to have you here, bud.
Thanks, mate. It's a pleasure. Thanks for inviting us on. Like I say, I've been watching your channel now since you started, so it's doing really well. So it's nice to be invited on and talk about Leeds and Sunderland for the next half an hour or so.
Yeah, too. And I really appreciate it. For anyone that don't know, who hasn't seen some of my earlier videos, Wayne did me a preview for the Sunderland game, which I really appreciate while they were away on holiday. Give me like a 5-6 minute clip of what to expect, and it was a really good game. We'll touch on that while we're chatting away. But yeah, I'd just like to touch on. I've got a bit of a soft spot for Sunderland in general because I've got my daughter lives in Durham, as you know, and obviously we've been with my ex. I had all her side with Sunderland, and so I've always had that sort of. I've even been to a game. I remember the Henry goal against Arsenal when he came on. His comeback. I wasn't even at that game, to be fair, when he came on and turned the game around. So a little bit of a soft spot for Sunderland. They're a great club, great fan base, very similar to Leeds. I'd just like to touch on the documentary, The Sunderland Till I Die. I think that came out maybe 6 or 7 years ago. I remember watching it and I got right into it, to be fair. I just wanted to know, like, back then, the ownership, and you were in a free fall, from Premier League to League One, back-to-back years. I don't think you expected that way with the documentary being the first season championship. I'm assuming they expected them to bounce back up, or they maybe wouldn't have had cameras on it. What's the difference between then? Can you touch on what it was like then, Wayne, and what it's like now, please?
Back then, it was an absolute shambles. Although we kind of had loads of money. Obviously, we had the other short situation, and we had managers such as David Moyes and Chris Coleman and them, and you think, right, we've got a big name manager here. Surely we should be doing well, and it just didn't turn out that way. David Moyes was an absolute nightmare from start to finish. Get relegated, and then, like you say, the Netflix thing came in, and we're expected to get promoted straight back up, and it just went the total opposite. That season, when we got back-to-back relegations again down to League One, just couldn't have gone any worse. And for a club like us, it was an absolute shambles. It's something that you just didn't expect, but it just shows you that if a club's not run properly, that's what happens. Doesn't matter how big you are or how many fans you've got. If it's not run right, then you end up where we ended up. Thankfully, we're getting back on the good road now. We had Stuart Donald came in, and they kind of helped us get back to the championship type of thing, paved the way. Then Dreyfus has come in as well, and now in the championship and flying high. So it's a complete turnaround. I'm not saying we're perfect, but from where we were kind of 3 or 4 years ago, it's different class. But there were definitely dark times back in the day. But the Netflix thing, I think the Netflix thing kind of hindered us, if I'm honest. Yeah. Because when you hear some of the players at the time didn't enjoy having the cameras in their faces. Being watched 24 hours a day, and I think it kind of had a negative effect. When the managers were trying to get the point across, especially when you're struggling as well. Yeah, you can imagine that, It's got a negative effect. So, but thankfully, and I was just there's been a new series just come out there when we've been promoted, but I'm hoping that they stay away for the next 2 or 3 years. That's about right, mate. You can see in that documentary that the passion from the fans is just second to none, to be fair. And even when you were down in League One, your attendances obviously they do drop. We ours dropped as well when we were down in the doldrums, but you still had that loyal support. It was still the biggest away day for any club, and it's still right up there now, isn't it? I can't remember how much you hold. You'll be able to tell me that your capacity. At the minute, it's about 49. I think it is at the moment. We're still getting now. There was 40,000 there on Saturday. And even in League One, we're still getting, over 35 plus at times. It's mad. Similar to use, you could be in non-league and you'd still get near a full stadium. It's just the way it is. The passion for both sets of fans is second to none. And I think the Championship now is kind of like a mini Premier League. There's that many good sides in it, and ex-Premier League sides in it. Yep. It's a tough league. There's half at league's been in Premier League in the last 10, 15 years, and then you look at League One and half of that's been in Championship and some in Premier League at last. It's a crazy pyramid of football really in this country, isn't it? It's a really good standard throughout the leagues, which is, what we're seeing. But so the start of this season, pal, I'm assuming you wouldn't have expected to be five. I seen your review at Oxford game, and you couldn't have even imagined you'd be 5 points clear at this point. But it's where you are, and you're there on merit. Just want to touch on where you thought you'd be at this stage, you know, and what your expectations were as a club? What do you believe they were via the club, and what do you believe as a fan you thought it would be possible this season?
You've probably seen the way we ended up last season. Obviously, there was an absolute shambles with the management. Once we got rid of Tony Mowbray, it was just a downward spiral from there. You know, then Mick Dodds, Mike Beale, and Mike Dodds, and then Mike Dodds came in again, and we won one game of the last 12. And I think if we hadn't gotten that good start last season, would have been back in League One, no doubt about it, because we were in free fall. The back end of last season, we were absolutely terrible. The confidence was shot, and we were conceding goals left, right, and centre, and it was just awful to watch. So on the back of that, you're thinking, right, you know, what kind of management are we going to get in for this season? And the names that we mentioned, the likes of Will Still, who, you know, there was loads of media around him being the next big thing coming out of France.
Yeah.
And this guy came from nowhere, Regis Lebris, and we were all like, well, who is he? You know, where's he come from? You know, but when you got to give him the benefit of the doubt, and you think, right, give him a chance. And to be fair, this season, like, cannot be any further than where we were last year. He's come in and he's got like a calmness about him. He never gets flustered. Doesn't matter if we're losing or if we're winning, he remains the same level-headed, even after games. Even though we're 5 points clear after games, he's still saying, you know, there's still loads of things can be improved on. And where we need to be, we're still not where we need to be. So from us as a fan, like I said in my reviews, I couldn't have ever imagined we'd be sitting top of the league. I mean, if we'd have finished mid-table this season, I'd be happy after what happened last season.
You wouldn't be now, though, Wayne.
Well, not now. See, the expectation levels seem to go up, didn't they? Once you've had a great start, but you've just got to enjoy it while it lasts. I suppose we're flying high. We're enjoying the football. As a Sunderland fan, you're always expecting for it to go pear-shaped somewhere along the line. So
it's very much like us, mate. We all say we're very Leedsy. I don't know if you've got a terminology for yourself, but we're the same. Whenever anything's going well, you can't really enjoy it too much because you're always worried what's around the corner.
We always say we'll do a Sunderland. You can guarantee, like Luton during the week, you know, I think their centre forward Adebayo hadn't scored all season. Guaranteed against us, he can get his first goal. It happened. If a team hasn't won for God knows how many weeks, the playoffs and they can win. Plymouth, for example, you know, the first game we lost. I'm expecting to get QPR at the weekend and getting turned over. That's just the way. That's just what we do.
That's how we think of stuff. Yeah, you'll have these good performances against top sides in the league, like you have done, and then you'll always be, you know, worrying about the QPRs and, like you say, the Plymouths, because they always bite you on the arse, don't they? All tend to. But would you put this start down to the squad, the quality of the squad, the players, or the manager? As the manager turned water to wine, you know, is he performing miracles with you've touched it before, you know, you haven't got the depth, or you don't feel like you've got the depth. You've got a good 11, I think, and you might have on bench, you could tell me otherwise, but you have mentioned the depth is a worry. Have you not had many injuries, and is the manager performing miracles right now, or what do you think?
I think it's got a lot of it's got to come down to the manager, because a lot of the players are the same players that we had last season. We have brought Chris Mepham in, and I tell you what, Bournemouth must have some good centre-halves to let him leave on loan, because since he came in, he's been absolutely tremendous. You can just see the class difference. He's a Premier League player.
Yeah, he is.
And you've just got to like to that. So credit to the backroom staff for that, for getting him in.
Yeah.
We know we've been wanting a centre forward now since Ross Stewart left. You know, we've been wanting a centre forward for 3 seasons, and Christian Speakman, the sporting director, has had loads of flack from me included. I mean, I'm not a fan of the bloke at all. I didn't like him. I think he's shocking. But this season, he's making me eat my words, because what they've done is they've kind of backed the manager. They've brought in 2 centre forwards. We've just spent money on another midfield player we haven't seen yet. He's kind of getting the side. We've got a Champions League midfielder on loan. He's injured, so we've got good players in the background to come in. But I'm still a bit nervy of the whole strength and depth. If we've got injuries to key players, I think we might still struggle a little bit. But majority of the time now, I think it's down to the coach, his coaching methods. He's got us playing a certain way. And I think last season what we had, it was kind of just plan A, and if plan A didn't work, there was no plan B.
Yeah.
Now we seem to have a plan for every team we play against. I mean, we've played 3 teams this week in Luton, Hull and Oxford, 3 completely different playing styles, and had to answer for them all. So fair play to him. So far, so good, aye.
No, that's brilliant, mate. Who's your striker at the minute? Who's banging in goals? Is it
Wilson Isidore? He's
Isidore.
Again, another one that kind of came from nowhere. Never heard of him.
Yeah, you said. Yeah.
Brought him in as a kind of a wide left player, really. Yeah. But our centre forward got injured after the first few games. He came and played him, and he's never looked back. But again, if he gets injured, and we've just signed Aaron Conley, who I think could be a master stroke if we get him back on his game. I think he'd be a pattern sign.
Brilliant. In your side, then there's quite a lot of young talent who could go on and have a really high ceiling in the game. I'm obviously thinking of that midfield really in Chris Rigg and maybe Joe Bellingham. And is it Mundell on left as well, who's replaced Jack Clark as well? So I just want to touch on that really. Were you worried when Jack Clark left? Because it were plain to see last season he was like your go-to guy. We know him as Leeds fans, really good talent. Lost his way a little bit when he goes to Tottenham, drops down a few divisions and sets it alight, and then obviously gets his move. But were you worried about losing Jack Clark, and have you missed Jack Clark?
I think every Sunderland fan was nervous when Jack Clark left because 15 goals last season, he was our best player head and shoulders. But I mean, a lot of Sunderland fans might disagree with me on this, but I think some of our problems was Jack Clark as well, because he was our top player. Everything had to go through Jack Clark, and we kind of one way of playing, give the ball to Jack Clark and do the best.
Yeah.
Now, if Jack Clark had a bad game, then we had a bad game. Whereas now, we're a lot more balanced. Mundell's come in. We always knew Mundell was a talent, but I think personally that where Mundell is now, he's better than where Jack Clark was at that same stage. So I couldn't be more pleased with how he's playing. He's the first game he played, come on and scored a goal. So what we do.
It sounds very similar to us with Somerville. We had Somerville and Rutter last season, and we funneled everything, down that side, and everything good came through them. And if we had a poor game, it usually meant they had a poor game. Mm-hmm. Whereas this season, the goals come from everywhere in our team, and we'll look at threat across the board rather than just funneling it down one side. Now, I do think, sometimes it's great to have a star man or two, but, the way, we've replaced Somerville with Ramazani, and Aronson's replaced Rutter. You'd probably say neither of them are as good as them two players at the minute, but as a collective, I don't feel like we've lost much. So I definitely get what you're saying with that one. And the bits I've seen of Sunderland, he looks a terrific talent, does Mundell like. Crick.
We've scored, I think we've got 10 different goal scores this season, so that just tells you. Whereas last season, Jack Clark had 15, and there was probably about another 2 or 3 players scored after that.
Yeah, we were the same, mate. We were the same. Something I really like about Sunderland is you get goals from midfield. We haven't in a long time, really. We're a bit more progressive now at middle with Ampadu and Gruev out, as you probably know. A lot more defensive-minded. Now with Tanaka and Rothwell, we're playing further up the pitch, but they're still yet to score and really look like scoring. But with you've got Joe Bellingham, who could have had a couple against us, to be fair, and obviously Chris Rigg did score. How good are these two, in your opinion?
Well, Chris Rigg, he's going to be a superstar. And no bones about what he's at 16, 17, he's just absolutely unbelievable. I'm not expecting to perform at this type of level all season. Young lads never.
Yeah.
You will have a dip at some point, but it's how you manage him. So when he is starting to have a bit, or he's tired, or he has a bit of a dip in form, then it's time to take him out for a couple of games. Where last season with Job, we kept on playing him, and his game suffered for that. He was in the team every week, and his game suffered. This season, he's a different player. He looks stronger, he looks fitter, and he's playing him in a position that suits him. Whereas last season we played him in about 3 or 4 different positions, and he didn't know where his best position was.
Yeah.
Now he's playing a little bit further forward, and like you see, he's getting goals and he looks a threat. But it's just he's starting to look a similar type of player to Jude.
Yeah.
I'm not. In the end of the season, we'll do very well to hang on to them both. I think that's the model what we're using. We're buying them, developing them, and selling them for big money. Jack Clark, an example. So I'd love for us to get promoted and them have a season with us in the Premier League.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, I cannot see it somehow. I just think there'd be too many big sides after them both. I think there was rumours that Arsenal had scouts at the Luton game during the week as well. So
watching who, Rigg or both?
both of them.
I could see Job following his brother, you know, in Europe, maybe going to Germany, and he's got that blueprint, and I could definitely see that happening. But if you go up, I would tend to think they give you a year at least. You know, that's how it tends to go, and then after that we'll see. But do you expect them both to be internationals? I guess then, yeah. But within the next 2 or 3 years, yeah.
I mean, Job's already getting called to the elite squad, and Chris Riggs already in the under-18s and under-20s. So it's just a progression. I just think if he keeps his head right, you know, which he seems to be, he's level-headed, and he could have went in the summer to a big side. He could have went, you know, and he's steered to get football, which is credit to him, because how many times do you see it where these young lads go to the likes of Chelsea and Man City, you never see them again.
No,
they play team football and they end up going out on loan 20 times. So fair play to them for stopping.
I mean, when you look at us with Archie Gray last season, you know, he was 17, he turned 18 through the season, and he was a steady player, don't get me wrong. Really high talent, you know. A lot of Leeds fans call him a generational talent. Whether that happens, we'll have to see. You know, I feel like he's going to get a little bit lost at Spurs. He didn't get many minutes. I feel like he should have stayed with us one more year, definitely, even though we didn't go up. But he'd have been playing every week in, week out, which is how you learn. But I do feel like when you compare with Chris Rigg, you know, like I say, Archie Gray, he filled in at right back, so it's a little bit harsh to say he didn't play out of his skin. He was just steady away with Archie Gray, although you can see there's a talented player there. You know, wearing that shirt's a heavy shirt at Leeds, but equally so at Sunderland. And to be 16-year-old and have scored 4 goals already playing for Sunderland, I mean, you must be proud as punch. I mean, that is phenomenal. And if we're thinking Archie Gray is a generational talent, he's going to go on and play for England and all these things the club have even said, Real Madrid and all that, you know, Chris Rigg's got to be right up there as well, hasn't he? I mean, that's ridiculous what he's doing, mate. It's surpassing what Archie Gray did for me, really. Really is.
He's probably one of the best young players I've ever seen. I mean, the Middlesbrough game, we beat them 1-0, and to score a back heel in that kind of pressure, to show that calmness, it's just unbelievable, you know. And he's mixing it with you know, big championship centre halves and midfielders. It's not easy, you know, how hard this league is. So
yeah, he's playing in a very, very difficult position, isn't he, with some seasoned pros in there who, you know, will definitely want to stick it on him and bully him. And I guess it isn't phasing him, which it doesesn't sometimes when you're young, does it? You know, you don't have that fear.
No, well, I think he's already on 4 yellow cards himself, so he can dish it out now. So
that's good. So we'll go to this comment now. Only Leeds bros. Hey up, Darren and Dylan. Do you think Sunderland will last the season at this pace?
Good question.
How do you feel?
I've seen it too many times, Matty. You know how many teams have started off like a house on fire and just fell away. I think Preston did it a couple of years ago.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
I think that, you know, they were in the same type of position as us, and they just fell off a cliff in the middle of the season. So it all depends on injuries and how we manage the squad. You know, if we get a couple of injuries, we've got our fullbacks, we've got knee cover. If we get an injury to the fullbacks, then we're stuffed. We've got Dan Ballard out. If we get an injury at centre half, the cover isn't really there. Yes, in midfield we've got good cover, and at centre forward we've now got Conley. But defensively, if we get injuries, that's where we will struggle. I'd like to say yes. I think they're busy. If we're still up there towards Christmas, then I might start to believe that we've got a really good chance of getting up. But like I say, it's early stage, and I'll only will believe it if we're 5 points clear into the final week of the season. That's the only time I will believe it.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's just, as Leeds fans, you know, we have not very fond memories of last season with Ipswich. You know, you tend to have a side sometimes. I remember when Sheffield United went up a few years back for the first time, and you have a side that are up there, and you tend to go, they'll fall away. Yeah. I don't know if you're muttering very Ipswichy, but, you know, that's what we're all sort of looking at Sunderland and thinking, oh, you know, it's one of them, mate, where I get what you're saying, but the fixtures don't lie, and the games you're winning, you know, 2 really tough away games, and I expect you to beat Oxford at home. I expected that were like sort of when you're at top of league there, your bread and butter, you just need to be knocking them out. You know, you need to be knocking them wins out. But those 2 away games, to come through them, like that's really showing, you know, a different side to Sunderland here I haven't seen in a while, mate. Got a very tough you haven't got a soft underbelly anymore. You know, you really haven't. That's
what we've been saying as fans. A couple of years ago, the Luton game on Wednesday would have getting turned over there.
Yeah,
because we'd have crumbled. Whereas on Wednesday we stood up and we battled with them. And first half, they absolutely battered us first half.
Yeah,
I mean, we were lucky to get in and outside. But once we scored the goal, then the game kind of changed a little bit. And like I said, to hang on, even though they equalised, to then go and score again, it's credit to us. And I mean, the whole game again was it there. I don't know. They've got a strange way of playing their manager, but
yeah, they have.
We had answer for them. But the Luton game was the one that kind of shocked and impressed me. I thought, if we get a draw out of this game, I'll be more than happy to go away with 3. Is a massive result. But I get what you're saying. I think out of that top 6, probably the exception of Blackburn, didn't expect them up there. We are probably the surprise package. The likes of Hughes and Sheffield United and Burnley, everybody expected you to be up there and expect you to be challenging. So for us at the moment, it's a bonus.
Yeah.
And if we can't continue, then,
And I feel like there's definitely, space for a couple of outsiders at the beginning of the season to be in that 6. I mean, Luton don't look like they're going to do it. First year parachute team coming down, you expect them to be in 6. I expected Coventry to be around mix, and they're having a shocker. I mean, they came back yesterday. 2 of them playing each other, which were a cracking game, and they came back. But I expected both of them to be in. And then when you start, beginning of the season, you start going through it. The obvious ones, Sunderland aren't in it. They're on fringes, but it's credit to you how well you've done. We've spoke a few times and said it'd be great if we could both go up, but there's still a long way to go, I know. But 5 points clear at this stage, and what I would say with Sunderland is, you haven't had many injuries. I know you said you've got a couple, but you're worried about certain areas. I feel like when you get on that momentum train, everything's sort of going for Sunderland as well at the minute, which we'll touch on Leeds game in a sec. But like even the Hull goal, the referee in the way. Don't get me wrong, it's not you. Just he did his stuff. He went down and put the ball away. A fantastic finish, and that was the referee in the wrong position. Nothing to do with Sunderland. You were capitalised, but then obviously it moves me swiftly onto our game. With a Meslier incident, which is probably the craziest thing you've ever seen on a football pitch. And there's been some crazy stuff, but if you get what I mean, there, I feel like. I don't want to sound like salty here because I'm buzzing how we're doing anyway. I aren't too phased at the minute, but I feel like we've had a lot go against us so far this season as Leeds fans. With injuries and the likes of the Meslier, we've given away soft penalties. We had a slip against Burnley, what cost us game, and they went down and scored. Yeah, it sounds like excuses, but sometimes there is some excuses in there for reasons why you don't get the 3 points. And I feel like we're doing it the hard way at the minute, and to be where we are, I'm quite pleased. I think if everything were going our way and we were getting bounced at ball, I think we could potentially be top of league. But as it stands, we're not too far apart. But do you feel like you've had a couple of results there where you were lucky to get the 3 points in a couple of instances, Wayne, or am I speaking shite?
No. I mean, the whole one, I think it's if you're a Hull fan,
you're
screaming at the referee and what you're doing. But if you're a Sunderland fan, then
it was a brilliant goal, to be fair, mate. He had a lot to do.
I mean, I guess it might have been an error from the referee. I mean, I know he only has to stop play if the ball hits him, which it didn't.
Yeah.
I think the whole player still had a chance for it to turn and go inside, and he tried a Cruyff turn to go back the other way, and he got caught on the ball. Yeah. So maybe you've got that, but like you say, he's still a long way to run, and the finish was unbelievable. I mean, getting back to our game, the first goal could arguably have been offside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it swings and roundabouts. You're going to get...
Of course.
I mean, but to be fair, the game against you was probably the best team that we've faced by far.
I was going to ask you that, Wayne. Did you feel that at that game? Because you'll have been there, won't you?
Yeah, well, I was away on holiday, wasn't you, Brass? But I still watched it. I've still seen it. But like you was by far the best side that I've seen us play so far. I mean, quality, and I think where you are with the injuries what you've got, when they come back in the side, I think they're going to be a definite force to be reckoned with. Like, I mean, if we are still there at the top end of the season, I think you's going to be the ones that are going to be up there with us, because if I'm honest, the teams I've seen in the Championship this season, there isn't anybody been outstanding.
No, there hasn't.
I think that's the reason why we've possibly gone 5 points clear, because we've put that little run together, these 3 wins.
Yeah.
Other teams are dropping points. I mean, Burnley couldn't beat QPR at the weekend. West Brom drew at home against Cardiff. The Hughes drew Bristol City.
The draws have been killing a lot. Top sides really. Whereas I don't think you've drawn many, have you? You're just knocking the wins out. Where, like you say, you get an extra 2 points on us every time we draw. So I think we've drawn 5 out of 12. Only lost the once where you've lost twice. But draws, it's better than getting beat. But these, like you say, 3 or 4 wins in a row, and you can start to pull away. So that is a bit of a worry, obviously, as a Leeds fan, and a lot of Leeds fans worry about a gap getting created again, like we know from last year. It's really hard to claw that back, and even last year when we did claw it back, you've emptied tank a little bit. Then to keep going. So we pulled sort of level, got our noses in front, and then it sort of went away again. But I do feel like obviously the quality at the top end of the league isn't where it was last season. No. Personally, I think if you finish above Leeds this season, you go up as champions, which I'm sure you'd agree.
Yeah,
because I expect us to be automatic promotion, and I don't expect us to be dicking around with playoffs, as Angus Kinnear says at our place. But yeah, I do think if you finish above us, you win league, and there's massive potential in Sunderland doing that. Like you say, that the Luton game, we had games last season where we're looking at Ipswich and you think, right, they've got 2 away games here. This is where they're gonna hook it up, and they didn't. And I'm just feeling that vibe off you at minute. And like you say, there's certain games you come out of and you're like, yeah, a little bit of confidence there. More. How do you feel then, genuinely, going forward? When you look at the table now, you're like you say, you're the outsider in terms of, you look at that top 4, Sheffield United, Burnley, Leeds are all in it. You're the one who, you wouldn't have expected it. Do you think that's the 4 going forward? We're going to be battling out. Do you reckon it's that 4 in whatever order? Is that what you'd say? Because I would.
I didn't know, because there's teams who always have a good second half of the season. Coventry always have a good second half. Middlesbrough, who are always there or thereabouts.
They're looking good, aren't they, Wayne? They're looking good.
Well, Middlesbrough were. I think they were winning 3-1, drew 3 each today.
Oh, you're joking?
Yeah, they drew 3 each. They're winning 3-1.
Oh, no way. I saw it at 3-1, Wayne. That's why I said it.
But it's like, so that them type of results is what's killing teams, and we are just letting them sneak these wins, and it's causing that gap. So I didn't know, there is still a few sides. I don't expect Blackburn to be up there either. I think they might fall away. No. I would expect Middlesbrough, Coventry, Norwich to possibly come with a run. But I'd be upset if we didn't at least make the playoffs from an 12 games. But if to chuck it away, and unless we
there's no way you're going to chuck it away that bad way. There's no way. I'd
like to see us get at least playoffs this season from where we are now. But I still do think that we use Burnley, Sheffield United, and hopefully us the top 4.
Yeah. I can't see anyone outside that now. I really can't. How do you feel about January? Do you think you'll strengthen? Has there been any? I know we're still a while off it. Has there been any murmurs? Do you think they need to strengthen? And do you think they will?
That's going to be the crux in it, really. I think if we're up there, and will the back them and will the strengthen? I mean, I know there's been rumours of Jordan Henderson coming, but I'll be absolutely amazed if that happens. I've heard some rumours in the last couple of days now, but Ahmad might be coming back as well. So I don't know. But if we are up there, they have to back them and they have to strengthen, especially these full-back areas. Because if we don't, then we'll chuck it away. Because what will happen? The window will close. The 2 full-backs get injured, and then it all goes pear-shaped. So
who did you say there's talk of coming back, Wayne?
Jordan Henderson.
I was going to say, has that not gone away? That then, no, is that still murmurs?
The last week it's been a bit quiet. I just really think it was papers in the international break had no stories to write about, so they just thought I'd make a story up.
It's an easy link, isn't it? It's a lazy link.
It is. I mean, he said himself when he leaves Ajax, he's 36 when his contract runs up.
Yeah.
Then he'll see what happens. So I really can't think he will come back here at this stage. For a start, wages would just couldn't match that with our model. And to be fair, although it's like it's a love story, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
It happened a couple of years ago with Jermaine Defoe, and that didn't work out.
No.
I always say never go back, and like for him, he should never have come back because it was a nightmare. It just didn't work.
Yeah, like I was going to say with Henderson, look at it 2 ways, guy. He could come back in January if he did, and he could agree his wages. Everything could be all right financially and stuff, and he could come in and do a job either off a bench or as a starter with that experience, or he could come in and upset the apple cart, so to speak. When when the midfielders we got are probably it's the engine of any sort of side, and they're playing really well. Obviously, the numbers prove that. Someone coming in like him, he's a captain, he's a leader. Could he come in and put noses out of joint? Is it too risky, or is it's Jordan Henderson, England, ex-England player? You've got to take it if he comes.
Well, it goes against the grain of everything what we've done as a model. On Tinder, they wouldn't sign any players over 25 and this type of thing. So bringing Henderson in goes against all of that, and I think that will be at the detriment of our younger players like Job and Chris Rigg, because do you then take them out the side? And to be fair to him, yes, he's Jordan Henderson, but he's now 34-year-old. He's not the Jordan Henderson that was winning Champions Leagues 3 or 4 years ago.
No,
what I mean? So I didn't know. I think I would love to see him back just for his experience around the place, because he's got the know-how, and he'd be good for the younger lads. But to bring him in as a starter, I didn't know. Like,
no, yeah, I had to, Sean. Obviously, as a Leeds fan, I'm hoping he doesn't come back, because it could have a really good effect on you. But yeah, I don't see him coming back. To be fair, maybe at end of his contract at Ajax, and like I say, it's some he's earned his money. Maybe he'll come back and do them. But I don't think timing's right. I think you'll have different areas, like you say, maybe fullbacks to strengthen on. And have you watched much of Leeds this season other than our game?
I've seen it about 3 or 4 times. When you've been on Sky, I've been impressed. I mean, I watched the game in Sheffield United. Really played well.
I thought that was a bit of a standout performance for us. Wow. You always talk about statement wins, don't you? Want to put a statement out to rest at league, and I feel like that really were. Their defense has been phenomenal. Clean sheet kings out there, really. And I don't know if the George Baldock thing sort of maybe made them go into it a little bit numb. I'm not too sure. And then we saw on the flip side of that, we saw at the Bristol game yesterday. Obviously, their manager's gone through it a bit, hasn't he? Losing his chance. I feel like that really fired them up for that game. I feel like they went into that and they flew out the blocks for that first 30 minutes, especially. And I was really impressed with them yesterday. But it's one of them. We tend to struggle against these lower sides, and that really affected us last season. We took 6 points off Ipswich and Leicester, and we struggled away. QPR got thumped 4-0, and it's these moments. But I feel like a lot of Leeds fans, they're losing their heads. Everybody outside Leeds, even bookies. I mean, I don't gamble myself, but I checked it today to see what the odds are. We're still odds on. I mean, I think you're like nearly 4-1. We're almost evens. Like, we're odds on to go up. The only people who worry about Leeds going up is Leeds fans. It's just how we are, because we've thrown countless chances away to go up in past. But personally, I do think we're in a good spot. Like I say, with our injuries, I still look at us, and like I say, you won't know too much in detail about some of our players, but Tanaka and Rothwell, that's our 3rd and 4th choice centre mid pairing, and they're playing phenomenal. It's actually
I like Rothwell. I've been in the games I've seen Rothwell play. He's been really good. Like,
it's criminal that he was 4th choice, really. When you look at it, I think he only played 14 games at Southampton, so he's a bit part player in that. But like, it's just he's a natural 8, and Leeds fans are used to seeing 2 6s in there, and I firmly believe you don't need 2 6s. As you probably see, when we were under Marcelo Bielsa, we used to have Calvin Phillips in there, and we'd have Mateus Click or Pablo playing a bit further forward. You don't need 2 6s. Yeah. But Daniel Farke, it's his style. He likes to defend first and then try and win second. But for me, the way we've got it now, we've got our balance right, and a lot of fans are losing their head over a draw at Bristol, but we back that up with a win against Plymouth at home next Saturday, which I expect to be bread and butter. And then you look at the run we're on; it's not a bad run, really. I feel like when you're up there, and obviously you guys winning, you tend to lose your head. Every game's a must win, but you can't win every game in football. Regardless of how talented you are, can you win?
You're never going to win every game, and that's. But it's how you bounce back from them. Bad results. Where you're lucky that the 2 games that we've lost this season, we've kind of bounced back straight after.
That's measure of a champion side as well, how you can bounce back from defeat, buddy.
That's a good side. I mean,
of course it is.
QPR on Saturday isn't going to be an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. Anybody think we're going to go down there and roll out with them? It's a similar type of place to Luton. It's a tight ground. It's a small pitch. Atmosphere is horrible, so it's not going to be easy. And again, it's going to be another test. But when I've watched Leeds this season, I didn't know what your thoughts are, but I didn't know if you needed a centre forward. And I like Joel Perreault, but it's just like us. I think a centre forward who's going to score, 15, 20 goals a season. I didn't know if Perreault can do that.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I've got a show at 8:00 after this, and that'll be one of the main talking points. Trust me, it is every week. I don't know, mate. I don't know what answer is to that one. We had Bamford for years, and thing is, then he gave everything but the goals. Really, he had a couple of years, but they were in COVID years, so he hadn't really shown anything out of that. So he had everything but the finishing, and then now you look at it, you've got Pirro the finisher, and you've got Joseph that does all the good stuff by finishing. So it's like you've got the best. You've got, all the attributes for a good striker, but split between 2 people, which is frustrating. But what I tend to say with us is, I think Joseph and Pirro might get 10 or 12 apiece, and I think they're going to share minutes. So I think, and I think with Nonto and Ramazani and Aronson, I feel like we'll have maybe 5 or 6 that'll contribute, maybe 10 to 12 goals apiece. And
what you need,
I think it'll be enough. No, I do, but I do agree as centre forward is definitely a topic, and there'll be a lot of Leeds fans tell you we need to go out in January and strengthen. But for me, I think we need to stick with Mateo Joseph, and we've seen the best of Pirro when he's come off the bench, and he went 4 games in a row scoring, but there were all sub appearances until I think Sunderland game, and since that Sunderland game, he sort of got back in now as a starter. But what tends to happen is whoever's starting isn't scoring, they go off on 60 minutes and they get replaced. Then after a couple of performances like that, they switch it round, and I think he's just gone 3 games, Pirro, without scoring. So now it's probably time to switch it back again. But yeah, I feel like they both complement each other well. It's a pity we can't get him in, can't find a way to play them both. The way football is now, you don't play with 2 strikers. I'll tend not to, because I think as a duo they do really well. But yeah, that's definitely an area at pitch where it's our main talking point in a minute, as well as the goalkeeper.
Well, the centre forward, you've got like in that. To the top 4 or 5, we've got Wilson Isidore, who's at the minute scoring goals. He's big, physical. And Sheffield United have got Kiefer Moore. And I think just Hughes and Burnley, when I watch Burnley, the same Burnley haven't got that point of a centre forward either. And I just think in the Championship, and I've been crying out since Ross Stewart left, I like to have a centre forward who can hold the ball up and bring players into the game. Yeah. And I think if you haven't got that, and like where we struggled last season, if Jack Clark didn't score, we didn't score, and that was our problem. And I just think like watching Hughes and Sheffield and Burnley, a similar type of thing. It's just, I don't know. It's just my opinion. I'd just like to see a big centre forward as a focal point to bring other players into the game. And
I agree, mate. I mean, if you had Ross Stewart now, could you even imagine? And I know Isidore's doing really well, but he was some player for you. I don't know if he's got back to his heights after his injury. Where is he now?
We cashed him. We sent him for 10 million quid, and he's gone to Southampton, and he's played 2 games for them.
I thought that was the case. He went there end of last season, didn't he? He played all last season without him, really, didn't they?
Right, and then they're getting promoted this season, but it's the Premier League, and he's played 2 games, and he got injured 2 games ago. He's out again. So 10 million.
It's mad when you think of how good he was for you, but you cashed in at the right time, and sometimes it's like us with Bamford. I don't really rate Bamford. Like Danny said here, Bamford will start after Christmas. A lot of people are saying this. I don't see it. And I think with Bamford, instead of cashing in on him when we should have done, after that first Premier League campaign, we give him a new 4-year contract on more money. And now you've got a player who's been crocked for the last 2.5 seasons on 40 grand a week or whatever it is. And it's that thing of he don't want to walk away from his contract because why would he? And no one's going to pay the money to get him. So we sort of stuck with a player now who's 3rd choice. And we just want him out the door, because those wages could be spent on maybe 2 or 3 key players. But yeah, it's a tough one, really. Can we just touch on our goalkeeper then, mate, while you're here? Because I can't not mention that howler. I'm sure there were loads of memes and stuff going around all Sunderland fans' WhatsApp pages and stuff and Facebook pages.
To be fair to him, right? I've seen it back and I've seen the stills. There was something on the pitch.
Is that a definite, mate? Yeah.
There was some kind of, I don't know what it was, but there was some kind of strap or something that was on the pitch because he picked it up afterwards.
Yeah, I've heard it with the player monitors they have on the back. I don't know if that. I've heard it with that,
and it hit that, and it did bounce away from him. So to be fair to him, I know you will not be saying this, but I felt sorry for him. To be fair, I mean, but watching him, I think in the Premier League, he made a lot of mistakes. I thought in the Premier League for years. And I'm surprised he's still there. When he's a decent keeper, bro. He's not the best keeper.
No, Daniel Farker called him the best keeper in the league last season, which I think's trying to give him a confidence boost, but no one bought it. He's another one, maybe we should have sold him when his stock were higher. I don't think his stock will ever get as high as it was after that first year in Premier League. And like a lot of our players, we had it with Jack Harrison, Bamford, Meslier, confidence players, and it really knocks them with stuff like that. I mean, we were quite fortunate after your game. We had that break, and I was sort of thinking that'd be worst thing for him, stewing on it for 2 weeks. But that Sheffield United game, our outfield players really protected him. He didn't have much to do, so he got a clean sheet, which is obviously massive, even though he had nothing to do. It was paramount that they really give him the easiest game possible in that, and they really did. That he didn't have nothing to do, and then since then he's looked a little bit flappy again. The Watford game, he looked. They were doing well. There was every corner was sticking it right on his toes, and he looked really, really flappy. He didn't make any errors as such, but he just doesn't instill confidence throughout the side. And I'm like old school, like even obviously scum, but like a Schmeichel or a proper goalkeeper who, as a centre half, behind you's covered. If you do your job, 9 times out of 10 they don't score. If that one time they get through, there's every chance that he's going to do something. With Meslier, unfortunately, we don't have that. I don't know how your keeper is, but we haven't had a good keeper now for a fair few years, and it's definitely something I'd like us to address whether we go up or not.
We've got a good young keeper at the minute, Anthony Patterson. He came in. I mean, he came as a youth player, and he's come on leaps and bounds since then. I mean, he played every game last season for us. I mean, he wasn't playing Saturday. He's injured. He got injured against Luton, so our reserve keeper played on Saturday, and he had a decent game. But Anthony Patterson, another one who was tipped for the top. He's kind of followed in Jordan Pickford's footsteps, type of thing.
Right.
But his distribution's shocking. Like, I don't know whether you noticed in the Leeds game, but his kicking needs to be worked on. But he's a decent keeper.
Yeah. How old's he?
He'd only be 21, 22 now.
Oh, really? Wow. That's nothing for a goalkeeper.
No,
not many at top goalkeepers are even playing at that age, are there?
No, he came into the side when he was like 19, 20, so he's been there for Prisons for 2 years. And I think because he's had that experience through League One, and he's just carried that into the Championship. So he's decent.
Oh, fair play. Do you feel like this season, for the sides that have come down and teams like Leeds in the second year of parachute payments, do you feel like there's added pressure for us with the news that they might be scrapping the parachute payments going forward for anyone who might come down? And do you feel like a team like Sunderland, they haven't got that pressure, whereas some of these, sides that have come down, like to Leeds United and stuff, if we don't go up this year, I don't know where that leaves us as a club financially, the players. Do you feel like that's gonna aid you going forward, that you don't really have that pressure? You're riding crest of a wave, and what will be. Right now, that might change, and I'm sure in the boardroom, the objectives will change week by week depending on what you're doing. Obviously, it's business, but do you feel like there isn't that pressure on your lads?
At the moment, not at all. I think for us at the minute, there's no pressure on us at the moment. We're not expected. We weren't expected to be up there. But I do agree with the likes of Hughes and Burnley that with the wage bills and what have you, that you have to get promoted. I mean, Luton, to be fair to them, didn't kind of spend a fortune when they got promoted last season.
No,
and probably haven't got that wage bill. But I think I don't know. I do think that there's too much money in the Premier League at the moment. I think these parachute payments do help teams. Yeah. They also give teams in the Championship an unfair advantage at times. Yeah. I do think the money should be filtered down through all the leagues, not just in the Championship. But it is, because where do you balance it out? Like you say, do you most teams cash in on the big names when they get relegated? But for fair play to use, like of Nanto and them stopped, didn't they? I mean, I know you got rid of some of it and what have you.
Yeah,
you still kept a few of the Premier League players.
You've got to get rid of a few to balance the books a bit, and we had a massive chunk of debt we had to pay a percentage of, so that was always going to happen. But I mean, when you're in Premier League, obviously you've got more than one or two outstanding players, so we did have to lose a few. But to be fair, when we came down, some of the players we lost, we weren't too harsh. Your Harrisons and your Mark Rockers and Tyler Adams and Sinisterra. It weren't last season. We were in a really good spot. End of last season, or beginning of this one, losing Jorginho, Rutten, and some of that hurt. I mean, we expected some of it to go. Gray we did not expect to go, and Rutten we didn't. But like I say, I think as recruitment's been done really right this year, I don't feel like you can legislate for losing both centre midfielders for 4 to 8 months. You cannot legislate for that. You can't just stockpile players, can you? We're not Chelsea, so I do feel like we got his recruitment right, and we've done some very unlike Leeds this last week, and gone and got a free agent, in Guilabagia. I think I can't pronounce his name, but and wealth of experience. Never played in England before, but to get a player coming in on the low wages he is, and is accepting of the fact that he's even been told when these players come back, you won't be playing.
Yeah.
but hopefully he'll use that as fire to get in there. But
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to get a worldie because they've all got clubs. So I feel like it's something Leeds would never do. We don't tend to do much in January. We definitely don't get free agents through door. But I really like us this season. I feel like on and off the pitch, we're heading in the right direction. We just need to not lose our heads as a fan base when you draw away at Bristol City, because it's not the end of the world. I feel like we're in good hands with Farke, and I'm sure you'll say from being an outsider looking in, there's no need to panic as a Leeds fan.
No, he's a good manager. I mean, he's been there, done it. He's been promoted twice from this league. He knows it inside out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like I said, you've just got to take your defeat on the chin and,
of course, you have,
and enjoy it while you can. I mean, I don't think you'll have any issues this season. I mean, to be where you are at the minute with the injuries what you've got, like a couple of additions in January. I mean, I like that Ramazani. He looks really good. He looks a decent player. The midfield. I mean, Rodon's a good defender. You've got Ampadu to come back. Daniel James is always going to cause teams trouble.
100%.
I hate playing against him. Every time he plays against us, he always does well. So the pace of him, scary.
Oh, he's an unreal player, mate, especially at this level. I don't know if you heard, did you hear Ramazani's injured? Have you heard that recently? Mate, he's out for 6 weeks. This is what I mean. He didn't play against Bristol City, picked up an injury against Watford. He scored a goal. I don't know if you saw their goal. We shot from outside box, and it went a howler by them. But he's someone who's really dynamic, really quick, and he's one of his very few players that actually shoots from outside box. So obviously you make your own look with that shot, and it goes in, does that, and 5 minutes later he's obbling off injured with ligament damage of his ankle. So when you look at that, it's every time we get a player back, we got Solomon back and Dan James back, who started on bench for that game, and then we lose Ramazani within 11 minutes, and you just think, give us a break. But we've got a squad good enough. I mean, we had Firpo out on a suspension at Bristol, and we had Sam Byram come in, who at championship level can do us a job, not to the standard of Firpo, but we've got a smallish squad, but I feel like everyone within our squad is capable of coming in on any day and having a 7 out of 10 performance at the very least. I
think defensively, from what I've seen, is it Bogle and all the right back? He looks strong. He looks solid as a right back, and also I think defensively you look decent. Yeah,
we do, mate. We don't concede many goals, to be fair. I say, wait, your place probably shaky as we've looked. That opening half. You could have had a few more if Joe would have had his shooting boots on. But no, I feel like we'll get plenty of clean sheets this year. Our problem is just taking those big moments when they come. We're not clinical enough, and we haven't been for a long time. But hopefully, it continues where we get enough big chances that when you're not conceding, you only need to score once, and it tends to be the case that we're not going to concede many games when we concede 2 goals. So, we're going to be in it, to win it most games. And I feel like it's just a bit over the top with our fan base.
And I think that's what the reason why we are doing so well, because we're now going to settle back 4th. Dennis Certainly was out for most of last season. He's now back to fitness, and he's made a difference. He brings balance to the side. And Chris Mepham, like I say, he's been an absolute unbelievable signing. And like the Trey Hume, we got him for I think it was 75,000 quid we paid for him, and now he's worth. There's Premier League teams look at him. So
there is.
That sort of it all. You've got to base it on that defence. You've got to start from the defence and work forward. For me, I'm going
to have to get you. I know it's early, but I'm going to have to get your prediction while you're on, mate, and we'll touch base again around Christmas. We'll get you back on around Christmas. But come on, right now after 12 games, who's going up in top 2 and who's going up in playoffs? Then we'll reassess at Christmas. Give us some names. Come on.
Put us under pressure.
Come on, let's have it.
I think from what I've seen so far,
if
we can stay injury free, and I'm going to say us, and I'm going to say either Leeds or Sheffield United.
Ooh,
I think Sheffield United, they're going to be there or thereabouts. They've got a good manager. He knows this league. They've got a good side, and they've had a good start. I mean, if they had been points deducted, they'd have been probably second or second. So
they would. I tell you what, Danny, that is not now, Danny. Danny's in chart time is an absolute legend. But I can't agree with that. If you'd have said that before the ball had been kicked, I wouldn't have said you were crazy. But Coventry, I don't think they'll finish where they are. I think they'll come good, but I don't think they'll come good to a point where they'll surpass.
They've lost too many players. Hamer, they lost last season, and then there was the other one they missed. I think.
Callum O'Hare left at the end of last season as well.
both at Sheffield United, actually.
Yeah, both playing well there. Yeah,
Both
Done
doing
well
well
there,
there,
but
so
I'd have to say, mate, if I were to make a prediction now, if I'm honest, I think Leeds will win it. And honestly, mate, I'm not just saying that. Like, I think it's between us and Sheffield United for top two. So I wouldn't be surprised if they picked us. But after seeing them myself in person, I think it'll be us. I think Sunderland will finish third, and then within the playoffs, I've got no idea.
That's all
Well, I don't know. I think it's going to be tight between in those playoff spots. But I do think I expect us to make a bit of a gap, which sounds crazy because we're 5 points behind. And if we were 5 points behind, maybe Sheffield United or Burnley, it'll just come down. I'd maybe be a bit more worried, like last year with Leicester and stuff, if you get what I mean. But
yeah.
I'm still clinging on to the fact that, I tend to believe that you first sort of go at it, you don't make it. We did it under Bielsa, we missed out. I just think you'll fall away a little bit, but not enough where you'll be massively disappointed. I think you're going to be mixed. I think you'll be fighting till top two right towards end. But I do think with a couple of games left, we should be just about there. But yeah, we'll see, and I can't wait to touch base at Christmas again and see how far wrong or how far right we are. But it's been absolutely amazing to get you on, mate. I'm sure everyone's enjoyed watching, mate. Everyone in chat, and top guy. And thanks for everything you've helped me with. You send me little bits of how to improve me, online bits and that as well. And it's editing and stuff because I'm a total novice. So just from a message I sent you for a bit of a preview, we've sparked a bit of a friendship now, and I look forward to messaging you, every weekend when results come in. And yeah, the really top guy, Wayne. So like I say, Wayne's from Only Fools And Safc. He's got a channel over there for Sunderland, and if anyone's interested in watching Sunderland content, we're Leeds fans, but I still go over there and watch Wayne's videos from time to time. And brilliant content creator, top guy. So it'd be nice if you can go over there and have a look. Yeah, I'll bang it in chat, Danny, mate. I'll bang it in chat. Thank you very much. Right, cheers, Wayne. You're a star.
Take it easy.
Take care, buddy.
All the best, Leeds fans. Take it easy.
Thanks, lad. Cheers, mate. Bye-bye, Wayne.
All right, bye-bye.